Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys. Today, we are going to continue taking a look at pronunciation files that you sent to us to give you some guidance on how to sound more natural in American English. Welcome to the Schwa Mill. This is our American English pronunciation review show held on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays right around 7 a.m. And to guide you in this process, there is me. Hi, my name is Geoff. It rhymes with breath. That's one of the 4 keys to a natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath, trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to strengthen your vowel sounds. What's up to Ivan hanging out to us? Good to see you, sir. A quick note, Ivan, I did see your audio. I don't have it for today, but my goal is to look at it either Tuesday or Friday, just to note. But I did see it. Just wanted to let you know that. Because again, you guys can send us audio files for review. If you take a look at the video description, you're going to see a link to a free Telegram group. That is where you can send in your pronunciation files if you would like to get some feedback from me. Speaking of that, we have 2 files for today. Before we look at our first one, I just want to give a quick reminder that to Institute members at fluentamerican.com/institute, we have our conversation club today at 6:30 p.m. New York time. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, or if you would like to join the Institute to be part of our conversation group, as well as our mastermind group that meets on Tuesdays and our video modules and webinars, I encourage you to check out fluentamerican.com/institute. Let's take a listen to our very first clip for today and see what sort of feedback we can give.
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my boat sunk.
Oh, okay. Thank you for sending us. Thanks to everyone who's been sending us files. Let's just listen to this one more time.
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my boat sunk.
Okay. And there was also a note from this as well, which I'm going to pull up. And one of the central concerns was that, well, we can see what they were directly. Arush says, I've noticed some of my speech naturally leans Southern, even though his native language is Hindi. He thinks it could be because of tongue position. He's aiming, though, for a more neutral American English accent. How can we achieve that? Okay, so let's see. What are some of the things that are happening here that are making this sound a little Southern?
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my boat sunk.
I think some of this could be because of, one, the intonation. We see a lot of like this, like that fall rise. That is certainly an intonation pattern that exists even in general American accents. However, the way that we're using it here,
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my
like phone call versus phone call. So instead of like having to waver on call, one thing you could do is like maybe do like a falling intonation, like phone call. So maybe just a rising intonation on call instead of the waver there. So instead of phone call, more just like phone call. I get a phone call. I get a phone call. We see this also, for instance, with the word dad.
I get a phone call from my dad saying
Dad. So again, we're seeing that kind of like fall rise. And so I think when we use it a lot, because again, it is a sound that exists in American English, but if you overuse it, what it can do is have some of those influences kind of come through. It's like maybe just using a rising intonation, like from my dad, I get a phone call from my dad, versus I get a phone call from my dad. So kind of limiting the wavers a little bit. Some other things that can cause us to have more of a Southern influence.
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my boat sunk.
Okay. Placement. Our placement's a bit high. It's almost like if I were to talk like here, this is like top of my throat, back of my mouth, this area, versus here. Now I'm talking lower. Okay, so now I'm lowering my placement. I'm engaging my diaphragm a little more. Okay, so in general, our placement's a bit high. So that higher placement's going to give that certainly a different feel. And typically for students too, that's going to also send you closer to your first language. So trying to project from a lower spot. One of the things I was doing with students recently and in the past, you've seen me do this on the channel, is trying to find that one sound that you feel really comfortable with, that you feel like you can produce that is close to the target accent that you want. So maybe, for instance, like an ah sound. So like ah, ah. If you can do that, if you're not doing like but like maybe it's an e sound. So it's not like e, but it's like e. Like whatever the sound is, if you can find it, then you can try to apply it to other sounds. Like for instance, maybe you make a nice ah sound that has the sound you're looking for, but your e sound is high. Well, you can use the ah sound to calibrate. So you can do like ah, e. That's not right. We want to feel it in the same spot. It's not like ah, e. You can hear how it moves up in placement. Ah, e. We want to try to keep it at the same level. So it's more like ah, like things like that to try to balance it out and not have it shift so much.
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my boat.
Because that placement's pretty high. I get a phone call from my dad. I get a phone call from my dad. And that's something else that you can do too, is take sentences or phrases and see if you can move them down a couple times. Like, I get a phone call from my dad. 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 Just experimenting with the moving the placements around, recording it, and seeing which one you like the most. There's a good chance that the latter ones, if you're able to get the pitch moving down, a lot of people, this is a difficult exercise for. If you are able to send it down, see if you like those lower ones a bit more than the higher ones, or if they give you the sound that you're looking for more.
I get a phone call from my dad saying that my boat sunk.
Okay. So those would be probably my biggest piece of advice there. The placement's a bit high. You can also hear it, for instance, on some consonant sounds again on like the word dad.
I get a phone call from my dad saying
That D sound. We're putting a lot of force here. We have to be careful with some consonant sounds. For instance, like consonants that require a lot of contact towards the front of your mouth, like a D, where you have that tip of your tongue very often making contact up here against your alveolar ridge or your tooth, or your lower tooth. It's making contact towards the front of your mouth, and that can cause you to send your placement very far forward, when in reality you still want to keep your placement down. So it's the difference between saying like dad, 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 versus like dad, dad, dad. So it's not the as much as like the. Do you hear the difference in placement there? So those would be the things I would start off with. Some intonation things, some placement things, and also we mentioned like some breath things, trying to weaken our consonant sounds. Okay. I would experiment with those and see if those give you a result that you like a little bit more. Okay. Thank you so much for sending that file. And again, if you guys are just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Schwa Mill, our American English pronunciation review show, held Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays right around 7 a.m. A quick note as well, if you're here with us, that tonight we have our second conversation club. So if you'd like to get some speaking practice in, this is available for Institute members who also get access to our mastermind on Tuesday mornings, 8:30 a.m. New York, as well as webinars and our video modules. If you're trying to, again, achieve that more natural sound in American English that, I'll be honest, most pronunciation resources are not talking about. We're not trying to get you worried so much about where your tongue and your mouth and what those things are doing. We're trying to really help you achieve that natural sound by focusing on your core, so that way when you talk, people can immediately tell that, oh, maybe this person potentially is from here. So if you want to have that feeling yourself, I encourage you to check out the Institute. Let's take a listen to our second clip for today.
The one word that is so difficult for me to pronounce, it is through.
Okay, and thank you for sending this file. Greatly appreciated. Let's listen to it one more time.
The one word that is so difficult for me to pronounce, it is through.
Okay, so we're asking about a specific word, and then I have some other general comments as well. So we have this word through, which tends to be a very difficult sound for a lot of people. I think for a couple of reasons. We learn that this TH sound is a very specific sound, right? We learned that this TH, you may be doing crazy things with your tongue and your teeth in order to get it. In addition to that, we have this R sound, which again in American English, R is a little particular. And then we have this oo sound, which our first language has, but that in American English is going to sound a little bit different. So a lot of potential areas where things can go wrong. So let's start off with the TH. So the TH sound, you may be pronouncing it with your tongue between your teeth. That's a common way it's taught. So you're doing things like, and that's fine. You can certainly make a TH sound that way, but it's not going to be easy to transition to other sounds. The other problem with that too is it can really, again, send your placement far forward because you have so much tension and concentration here. The reality is that for a TH, what you really need is you just need a little bit of contact with the tip of your tongue, so that part of your tongue, and either your top or your bottom tooth. So instead of doing like, maybe instead you could do, okay, so that's with contact against my top front tooth or against my bottom front tooth. Either of those can work. And the other thing I'll say about the TH sound as well is that we don't need the TH sound to honestly be very crazy. Remember, American English is focused on vowel sounds. The TH is much, much, much less important than the vowel that's going to come after it or before it. Okay, so with that TH sound done, then we can, let's maybe start off with our vowel next. So the vowel sound is an oo sound. You don't want to pronounce this like in your first language. A lot of first languages, what they're doing is they're having some pretty tense round lips, and they're sending the placement very high and ending up with the sound that's like ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, that's really engaging a lot of muscles, tightening things up, and blocking a lot of breath. The American English sound is much closer to like an ooh, ooh, ooh. You're going to notice that my lips are a bit more relaxed, and I'm projecting from a lower spot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, let's next add that R sound. So that R sound, American English, the back of the tongue is going to go a little high. Don't go too high because then you might overly tense it. And again, a low projection, lots of breath coming through. The front of your tongue can go up, it can go down. I don't really care what you do with the front of your tongue. It's much more about what's happening with the back. And again, trying to get as much air through. So we don't want to make it too strong. It's not, because that's a little bit too much friction. Okay. So let's go back to that oo sound and then try to add an R before it. So like oo, just kind of bounce between those a bit. And it may take some time, but the goal is to make that R really, really soft. Doesn't have to be strong. Doesn't have to be dominant. It just has to be present. So again, notice that we're projecting in the same spot through our throat, chest area. Okay, not towards our lips. And then we can try to add the TH to that. It's like see how light the TH is. Don't worry so much about the TH because what I'm hearing when we're saying it is that TH is getting a lot of emphasis.
The one word that is so difficult for me to pronounce, it is through.
Through. One of the things you're hearing is a rolled R. Okay. What a rolled R means when you get that like any sound like that. When you get a rolled R, what that means is that your placement is high. One of the reasons that Americans are pretty bad, we're pretty bad at rolling our R's. And it's because our placement's too low for it. If your placement is low, it's very hard to roll your R. It's hard to roll that. Okay. Whereas if your placement's high, like by my teeth or anything like that, well, then it becomes much easier to roll. So we have to lower the placement. That's an immediate sign. If you're getting rolled R, that means that you're just projecting from a spot that's way too high. We have to send it down. So it's not as much as like it's not it's more so trying to lower that placement a lot is going to be helpful there.
The one word that is so difficult for me to pronounce, it is through.
Okay. The last thing I'll say is that a general comment for all this is that your vowel sounds are very short and not getting a lot of time. Your consonant sounds are very strong. You can hear it on phrases like it is. You hear it on through. Your vowels no space. Whereas like through, see how much space your vowel gets? Ooh, through. Don't do like ooh, through. It's too short on your vowel. We gotta give more space to our vowels here. Okay. But you can hear it in other parts of the sentence as well.
The one word that is so difficult for me to pronounce, it is
like especially that difficult for me to pronounce. Like that part there is very choppy. The consonant sounds are really strong and the vowels are really short. We have to give more space to the vowels. So instead of saying difficult to, or difficult for,
The one word that is so difficult for me to pronounce.
difficult for me to pronounce versus difficult for me to pronounce. And obviously that's the exaggeration of what it sounds like when you put the emphasis on the vowels instead of the consonants. But what you're going to see is it's going to let you flow more. Okay, so shifting the focus onto the vowel sounds. Difficult for me to pronounce. Difficult for me to pronounce. Is it difficult for me to pronounce? Difficult for me to pronounce. So weakening your consonant sounds, giving more space to your vowels is going to be very, very helpful overall. All right. Thank you to everyone who's been sending us files, continues to do so, and things like that. It's greatly appreciated. It's hard to have a review show if there's nothing to review. If you would like to have your own audio taken a look at, then you can again join our free pronunciation group on Telegram in the video description. Also, again, if you're trying to get some conversation practice in today and on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. New York, then join the Institute. We're here weekly, and we're going to be starting up a second round of conversations as well over weekends. For more information on that, you can also go to fluentamerican.com/institute to see everything else that the Institute has that's going to bring you to a more natural sound whenever you speak in American English. Once more, my name is Geoff. It rhymes with breath. It's one of the 4 keys natural sound in American English, including placement, pitch, breath. Trying to weaken your consonant sounds, strengthen your vowels. I will see you guys later. Hope you have a good day. Have a good night and a good afternoon. Take care, guys.